Today, I'm going to give you a complete beginner tutorial for Apollo going into 2026 so that you can finally be able to prospect, enrich data, and track all of these results without messing up your email durability in the process. Apollo has changed a lot recently. Things like the email warm-up, the inbox ramp-up, the entire deliverability suite that they just introduced. And that's not to mention a big wave of other fancy AI features like AI research, AI filters, Lookalikes, and even, believe it or not, AI-assisted workflows, which we'll talk about. By the end of this video, you'll have a clean Apollo setup, knowing how to use every single mission-critical feature inside of Apollo going into 2026. Since I'll be showing a lot of different features, feel free to use the timestamps which will be down below so that you can skip to specific relevant parts that you want to figure out inside of the Apollo platform. And in the meantime, let me pull up my screen and let's jump right into it. Right, before we click into anything, here is how to think about Apollo going into 2026. Essentially, Apollo can do 5 things for you. The first thing is super obvious, you know it already, is the people data and the company data that Apollo is most renowned for already. And we'll talk about all the fancy enrichments that you can do to that company and people data so that you can generate qualified ICP company and people lists within just a couple of minutes using the database inside of Apollo. The second thing that Apollo is renowned for these days is the prospecting signals, specifically scores, website visitors, and lookalikes. All 3 of those features have just been launched, and I'm buzzing to show you how you can use them to the most potential. Thirdly, you also have the engagement features inside of Apollo, so things like sequences, templates, analytics. The fourth thing that Apollo has just improved a lot recently, it's cold calling features, which we'll cover later on in the video as well. And last but not least, we're going to also touch on the automation features that Apollo is well known for. So things like workflows, routing, and integration with third-party tools like clay.com, for example. If you're just using one of these 5 features in isolation, the chances are you're not squeezing all of the value out of your subscription with Apollo. So please use the timestamps so that you can learn some of these other game-changing features. So really quickly, my assumption throughout this video will be that you already went to apollo.io, you selected one of these plans. Right now, I'm going to be demonstrating all the features that are available on the $79 professional plan inside of Apollo. And it should be super, super simple. And the first thing that we'll start off with is talking about email deliverability and how you can make sure that you can set up your inboxes and your email infrastructure so that your emails are landing in the inbox rather than the spam, junk, and promotion folders. So without further ado, all you need to do is sign up for an Apollo account. If you have not signed up for an Apollo account just yet, feel free to use the extended free trial link, which will be the top link in the description down below. And as soon as you're inside, in the bottom left-hand corner, click on the settings icon, click on all settings, and in the top left-hand corner in the search bar, just type in Deliverability Suite. And you should be able to see it on the left-hand side over here. So first of all, just click into the overview section, is where you can track all of your email deliverability within the Apollo platform. So simply put, if you're not aware of this just yet, if you navigate over to the domains tab over here, you have 2 options. The first option is for you to connect your own email domains and email inboxes directly into your Apollo account. So in that case, all you need to do is click on Add and click on Connect Mailbox, and it will give you a bunch of different options of how you can either connect an existing mailbox from Gmail, Outlook, or any other sort of email provider. Alternatively, you can click on Purchase Domains and/or Mailboxes and click on Continue over here. Really quickly, before I show you how you can purchase more domains, let me just explain to you why this is important. So, if you intend on using Apollo in order to send cold outreach, the chances are it's not a good idea to send cold emails from your main email domain. As an oversimplification, let's assume for a second that you're using your main email domain to send cold emails. Typically, what will end up happening is you sending 20, 30 emails per inbox per day. And it's just a matter of time until your email domain can be flagged or blacklisted, meaning that your emails will start landing in the junk, promotion, and spam folders. Needless to say, that will affect your deliverability. That will mean that your main email inbox meaning that your emails to your investors, to your friends, to your colleagues, to whoever else you email, like your existing customers, they will also be stuck in junk folders. For that reason, to de-risk and minimize the chances of that happening with your main email inbox, we need to buy some similar looking domains. For example, if my main domain is unlockclay.com, over here, all I'm going to do right now is type in unlockclay.com, click on generate on the right, and it will pull up a bunch of domains that are similar sounding and similar looking to my main domain over here. And on the left-hand side, we can see a bunch of similar looking domains. And in the bottom left-hand corner, I can simply copy and paste the website URL of my main website. And in that case, over here, if I type in www.unlockclay.com, which is the main website of my course that teaches you how to implement a software called Clay from 0 to 100 real quick. In that case over here, all I need to do is copy and paste the URL. And from this point on, as soon as anyone that we cold email types in one of these domains into Google, they will be redirected to our main website because we added the link over here. You should be able to see on the right-hand side over here that it will cost you some Apollo credits. So this will cost you 1,500 Apollo credits per year to add certain domains for email sending. And in that case, you can then click on next, fill in a bunch of your personal information over here that is required in order for you to register these new domains and the new inboxes. And you can click on register in the bottom right hand corner, and you can see over here how many Apollo credits that will cost you, and you can then click on register, and that should set up your domains for you inside of Apollo. Really quickly, after you buy those domains, what you need to do is head over into the mailboxes tab over here, and once again in the top right hand corner you can just click on add, and you can click on connect mailbox, and you would have the option to purchase the domains and mailboxes. So if you already purchased the domains, you probably have access to the mailboxes straight away, in which case you should be able to see them on the screen right in front of you over here. So essentially, these are all of the email mailboxes that you can use in order to send cold outreach at scale. I don't have all the time in the world to do the number crunching for you, but I do have this calculator with a separate video at the top of this calculator for how to use it. And essentially, you can just plug in the numbers over here. So you can plug in the number of people that you want to contact with cold outreach per month. You can select how many emails you want to send to them per month, and based on that, it will tell you how many domains and how many inboxes you would need in order to pull this off. So if you're at all interested in this, it will be the second link down below underneath the video. So just go grab this calculator. There will be a separate video of how to use it, and you can figure out how many domains and how many mailboxes you need to connect inside of Apollo. Simply put, all you need to do over here is just navigate over to your mailboxes, make sure that the toggle where it says start warm-up is switched on. So in that case, you can click on that, and as soon as you switch on that toggle, it will give you one of two options. If you're just getting started with cold outreach and you have not warmed up these mailboxes before, you would need to select the automated warm-up option over here and click on continue. Super simply put, this will trigger the automated warm-up process whereby we train inbox providers like Google and Outlook and other SMTP providers to accept your emails and to move them automatically from the spam, promotion, and junk folders straight into the inbox. This is just to build your cold email sender reputation so that your emails do not start landing in spam as soon as you start your actual cold outreach. So it's critical for you to select this automated warm-up option. And after you click on continue, it'll ask you to fill in some of your personal information as well as some email inbox information so that you can finally start this email warm-up process. In the column on the right, you should be able to see the deliverability, and as soon as it reaches 100% using your email warm-up, you can then click on the start warm-up toggle again and now switch it to inbox ramp up. And this is the point at which you can actually start doing cold outreach using these new mailboxes that you just purchased. Really quickly, just one final point on email durability over here. You should be able to click on the inboxes as well and select the number of emails that are sent per day. I would recommend starting this at 10 emails sent per day to start with up to 2 emails sent per hour. And at the bottom over here, you should be able to add your email signature. Worth noting that the email signature should never have any links, attachments, images, or anything of that sort. So please avoid putting any links in the signature because guess what? You will end up landing in the spam folders otherwise. And if you want to apply all of these changes to all the mailboxes all at the same time with a click of a button, all you need to do is click in the top left-hand corner where the mailboxes are, click on select all, and click on apply signature over here and click on add manually. You can set up your sending limits. You can add opt-out links, and you 100% should click on this tracking button and click on disable, because you do not want to be tracking open rates in emails. Because tracking email opens means that you need to add a pixel to each email, and that pixel is basically the same as adding a link or an attachment to an email, which makes it more prone to land in the promotion folders, obviously, again, ruining your deliverability. And yes, there is so much more you can cover with email deliverability, but just as a best practice, you should be warming up your email inboxes for at least 2 weeks before starting the actual email sending. You should not be sending more than 20 emails per day per mailbox. And if you click the second top link in the description down below underneath the video, you should get an access to a guide which contains all my preferred settings inside of Apollo when it comes to email deliverability, just so that you can make sure that you are ticking all the right boxes at the right time. Anyways, just go grab it down below before we move to the next part. Okay, fantastic. By now, you should have your email durability set up for success, and it's finally about time that we talk about how you can find company lists and people lists inside of Apollo. The first thing we need to do is navigate on the left-hand side to the search icon and select the people option over here, assuming that we're trying to find people working at a specific list of companies. Straight away on the left-hand side, we should see a bunch of database filters. I very much recommend that you click on more filters straight away so that you can expand the page and you can see every single filter that Apollo has to offer. In this case, most of the time you could filter based on job titles. So for instance, if I type in associate over here, it will give me every single person in the database that is an associate. More than that, you can filter based on other things like job changes, for instance, and you can click on the job changes option here and select the people that have just changed jobs, because typically when they change jobs and they're new in the role, they may be more open to hearing about solutions that will help them get up to speed fast in their new position. Of course, you can filter based on location as well. So in this case, let's say I'm going to type in the United States and select that. You can also narrow this search down by the number of employees working at a specific company. So we can filter for 100 to 500 employee firms, for instance. And there are tens of other filters that we can cover, but the other filter that you absolutely must know is the industry and keywords filter. So in this case, let's say we want to find associates. I assume that will be in consulting. So we're going to select management consulting. Some of the other super popular filters that a lot of sales teams have turned to recently have been the technologies filter over here. So you can filter for specific technologies that the company has installed. So for instance, if the website has Google Tag Manager installed, that could be symptomatic of them running Google ads, for instance. There are some other fun filters like the revenue filter, where you can select a specific revenue threshold, be it 1 to 5 million, 5 to 10 million, or anything of that sort. If you are after companies that raised a bit of money and have a bit more funding right now, you can also use the funding filter in order to be able to narrow down your search to a specific series of funding that the company has raised in the past. There is also a job postings filter where you can type in the job titles of the employees that this company is currently hiring for. And once again, if they're hiring compliance managers, for instance, the chances are compliance is a priority, and hence you can reach out to the company and reference that job opening, for instance. And if you want some more custom and bespoke sales signals or triggers, all you need to do is navigate to the signals part over here, scroll down and select one of thousands of different signals that you can find over here, be it on a people level or on a company level. Another filter that you can play around with is the time in current role. So you can just specify how many years or months an employee has been in the role, and that way you can only filter through to new enroll employees or employees that have been in the company for a while. Hence, they're more likely to have decision-making power to call the shots and to explore your product or service that you're going to pitch to them. If you're selling into brick and mortar and you want to only sell to big chains like Cheesecake Factory, for instance, you can filter for the retail locations of a specific branch, and that's super useful for brick and mortar businesses or restaurant franchises, for instance. You have a plethora of other filters here as well. For instance, you have the news filter, whereby you can filter for acquisitions, expansions, new offerings, investments, or any of that sort of things as well. So you can get really granular with the searches here. And then as soon as you make up your mind of what filters you want to apply, all you need to do is click on apply filters in the top right hand corner, and you should be able to see all the people that fit all of your search criteria right in front of you over here. So specifically in my case, you can see there are only 9 people that matched all of the different search criteria. And now all I can do here is click on more options in the top left hand corner next to the name, click on select all, click on apply, and now I have a bunch of different options. So either I have the option to research with AI, and before I jump ahead of myself over here, I very much recommend that for most of these leads, you just click on add to list, and then you can click on create new list, and you can give it a name. So in this case, I'll just call this Tim Test. and you can click on update at the bottom over here, and that should create your list that you can reference later down the line. One tip to enable you to find the email addresses and phone numbers of each individual prospect that you filter through over here is to scroll down and find this email status filter and absolutely make sure that the email is verified. So now if we tick this box, every single person that shows up in the people lists and in the people database later down the line will have a verified email address. Now, if you want to also make sure that all of these prospects have phone numbers, that will drastically limit the number of people that Apollo will give you. But once again, you can go to the miscellaneous parts of the search in the bottom right-hand corner over here, click on phone status of confidence, and just make sure that the phone number type is mobile and that it's valid. In that case, the chances are only 1 in 100 prospects at best will have a valid phone number, but if your job revolves around cold calling, this is an absolute must for you to filter through. Fantastic. By now, we already covered how to not land in the junk folders, how to use the people filtering functionality inside of Apollo, and how to then add all of these prospects that you find using the Apollo database into a lead list. Worth noting that as soon as you create one of these searches, you can just click on Save Search over here. As soon as you see the leads in front of you, give it a name, and then next time you should be able to access this search in the top left-hand corner over here, and you should be able to see all of the different searches that we've created in the past. So now it's about time that I overshare some of my favorites and most underrated filters inside of Apollo. And starting off with one of those filters that I absolutely adore, but most people have not even heard of. And this filter is the SIC and the NAICS filter. The NAICS stands for the North American Industry Classification System, and this enables you to filter through this dropdown for super niche industries and products that a specific company sells. So for instance, if you're targeting companies that sell metal cans, for instance, you can type in metal cans, and within just a couple of seconds, it will give you a specific code, a specific number for which you can filter for inside of the Apollo database. So in this case, if I was to type in metal cans over here, I should be able to see that this is the code 3411. And this basically enables you to narrow down to a super specific subset of companies that are selling a specific product or service. So if that's relevant, just Google some of the classification codes over here. And that way you can exclude certain industries over here. You can also include specific industries over here. And that's using the SIC code list and the NAICS code list as well. So check that out in your own time. And in the meantime, moving on, another really cool filter, which most people have not heard of, is the market segments filter over here, specifically applying to company lists. So if you click on market segments, you're then able to narrow down the type of companies that you're filtering for. So you can just select B2B companies, e-commerce, fintech, non-profits, SaaS companies, or anything of that sort. So this will enable you to filter based on the business model of a specific company. Now, the next feature that I'll be talking about is hiding in plain sight. It's just been released by Apollo. Apollo is spending a lot of money on making sure that this filter is super accurate and up to date. And this filter is the company lookalikes filter. Now, the way the company lookalikes work is very straightforward. All you need to do is type in the website of a company that's maybe an existing client of yours or an account that shares the right characteristics of your ICP, of your ideal client profile. So for instance, if we already work with Nike or we have Nike in our pipeline right now, straight away, if we input it here, later down the line, the search results will give us lookalike companies to Nike like Adidas, New Balance, Reebok, Puma, and so on. So this is a really powerful filter if you're just looking for lookalike companies or people that work at similar companies to our existing customers, or that share characteristics with our existing pipeline deals. By all means, you can use the company lookalikes. And more than that, there is also the people lookalikes feature, which is a big bet that Apollo made going into 2026. So I recommend for you to check this out. And here is quite simple. All you need to do is paste the LinkedIn profile of a prospect that fits your ideal client profile perfectly, and Apollo's AI algorithm will be able to pull up a list of lookalike prospects. So for instance, if you're an in-house recruiter and you want to find talent very similar to your existing employees right now, you could use this feature in order to find very similar talent with a very similar skill set, working in the same type of industry with the same job titles with a very similar work experience. And finally, one other filter that you should not overlook inside of Apollo is the scores filter. So over here, if you click on scores, you should be able to manually set this up by default to start with, and you can click on manage scores. And here it's very, very simple. Inside of the settings in Apollo, if you navigate over to the scoring part over here, you should be able to click on create score, and you can later use this as a separate filter when you filter for the right people or companies. So in this case, you can give it a name. So I'll just call this test as an example, and I'll make sure to add this as a scoring criteria for all the prospects that we add into any lists. I can then click on next over here, and here I can select a bunch of different signals. For instance, new product or service, scoring a lead as an excellent fit, or recent funding, scoring a lead as an excellent fit. And yes, this can take a while to set up because you need to drag and drop all of these signals into the excellent, good, and fair boxes in order to score the leads appropriately. However, it's worthwhile because later down the line, within a click of a button, you can straight away filter through to only be able to see the people and companies that are an excellent or a good fit based on those custom scoring criteria rather than settling for the bad fits. Now, just a quick pause from the video, because once you get Apollo working for you, it typically causes the exact same bottleneck every single time. Don't get me wrong, you can build a great list with Apollo, and we'll talk later on in the video about some of the other ways that you can qualify and personalize your outreach. But realistically speaking, if you want to be in the top 0.01% of the sales teams when it comes to your cold outreach and truly personalizing each individual email at scale, there is no better place to do that than clay.com. If you want, I have a completely free training that shows you how to create an Apollo list, enrich it with a bunch of custom data points, and personalize every single cold outreach email and LinkedIn message within just 15 minutes or so. And don't get me wrong, the training is 100% free. It will be just the second link in the description down below, and it will help you far more than the AI personalization feature inside of Apollo. Anyways, before I get carried away, let's jump back into Apollo. So far, we covered email durability, people and company list building, and by now we should have all the people or companies that we researched, that we found, stored in a list if we navigate to the search icon and click on lists over here. So let's imagine for a second that this is the list that you've got selected, and typically all you need to do is click on the search icon on the left hand side, select lists, and click into a list that you have just created. Inside of that list, you should be able to see all the companies or people. And if you select the toggle at the top of the list over here and just click on select all and apply, it should give you the option to then use AI in order to enrich and research your prospects. So we can just click over here to click on enrich emails and click on enrich emails, and we should be able to find the emails of the prospects. Typically, after sourcing a lead list, enriching it with the relevant email addresses and phone numbers, it's now about time to click on research with AI. And here we can start with any one of these three options. I personally recommend for you to select the run custom AI prompts. So now we can use the AI functionality in order to either research the prospect or to personalize the email that we're about to send out. So in this case, I'm going to say the following to AI. I'm going to say summarize anything relevant or personalized about the prospect or company that can be a good icebreaker. Output a sub 12 word sentence calling out the prospects on an observation that is non-obvious based on company or LinkedIn profiles or recent news or updates. Tie it into the need for automating reports and saving time on creating market research reports. And now we can click on generate and preview, and we can see how good the AI functionality is inside of Apollo. And here we can see a really long prompt that Apollo comes up with. I'm going to trust it, click on save and run 3 rows on the current page. Of course, that will cost me 3 Apollo credits, but I don't really mind. And here we have it. Let's have a look at what Apollo comes up with as the opening line. And in this case, it comes up with personalized first liners like this one where it says, Surya automates military health surveys, because that's something that it mentions on her LinkedIn profile in her headline, to reclaim well-being research time, because based on her job description, she's currently doing both military health surveys and spending a lot of time on well-being research. Of course, it's very dry. It's not the best opening line in the world, but if you do reprompt it and you give it a bit more breathing space, maybe let it write an opening line that has more than 12 words in it, based on that, I'm sure the icebreaker will be far better. More than that, if you click on research with AI, you can also use this in order to qualify your prospects. So in this case, we can say my ideal prospects are associates at consulting firms, output ICP if this person fits my ICP, and output bad fit if the prospect is a bad fit. Here we can click on generate and preview, and once again it will create a really long prompt, very similar to Clay. They probably took this idea from Clay of how to structure all of this, and then we can click on apply updates. And you should be able to see on the right hand side now, after we ran that prompt, it says ICP in front of our eyes. And if we just want to remove all the leads from this list that are not an ICP fit, we can just click on apply filter. And over here where it says AI custom field 2716, we can say is any of ICP, and voila, that removes every other lead that does not fit the ideal client profile from that lead list. Okay, great. So by now, we hopefully understood how you can build a lead list, how you could use the AI prompting capabilities in order to be able to qualify that prospect or company for an ICP fit. And now it's about time that I show you how you can automate your email sending. So for that, all you need to do is navigate on the left-hand side over here across to this Engage section, click on sequences, and if you click on create sequence in the top right hand corner, it will give you a bunch of different options. I very much recommend that you choose from scratch. If you click into that, you can just give it a name. For instance, I'm just going to call this Tim Test and click on create. Over here, you can straight away just click on add a step. The first step will always be to send an automatic email, I assume in your case. So over here, we can just give this whatever subject line we want at the top. We can also type in or copy and paste any sorts of templates that we want to send out to prospects over here, so that you can just type out the email over here. And if you want to add any sort of personalizations like first name or company name, in our case, all you need to do is just select this curly bracket in the bottom right hand corner, and then it will enable you to add any sort of custom variables like the first name. So in this case, you could say first name, how are you? And this will obviously then change the first name of each individual prospect. So in this case, you can see it says Christian, how are you? If you want to A/B test different email campaigns as well, you can then click on add test over here. And this way you can A/B test between the A version of the email copy compared to the B version. And that will enable you to see which email template performs better so that you can double down on that. You can also click on check email at the top of the screen here and click on analyze email. And by clicking on analyze email, it will tell you if you're using any sort of spammy words like free, buy now, the $sign, or anything of that sort that may ruin your chances of landing in the inbox and that may cause you to land in the promotion and junk folders by accident instead. You can then click into step 1 where it says over here on the left hand side and click on add step, and then you can choose from a series of other actions like automatic emails, phone calls, LinkedIn messages as well if you want to send messages via LinkedIn, connection requests, and everything of that sort. And typically that's how you would build out an end-to-end sequence whereby you can mimic what you would do manually otherwise by just basically adding all these actions. So sending an automatic email, then sending a connection request, then sending a manual email, for instance. And before you know it, you've got a sequence set up. You can click on save changes in the top right-hand corner. And all you need to do next is click on add contacts over here. And you can either upload some contacts from a CSV. You can do that company or people search to find the ideal prospects, or you can select an existing list that we've just created previously, and that way you can enroll any prospects by clicking on select list, selecting the exact list over here, and clicking on add contacts. It's also worth knowing that Apollo offers a bunch of different cold calling features. So if you're at all interested in that, head over to your settings, type in calling over here, and you should be able to see phone numbers. So for that, you can either purchase a new number by clicking on purchase new number over here, selecting your area code. So for instance, if you want the number to just start with +1, you can type in +1, and that way you could just select a random number. You can see once again it will cost you some Apollo credits. You can click on purchase number, and you should be able to see that number right in front of you over here. You can then click on the 3 dots and set it as your default number, and that way you can start cold calling directly from Apollo. So let's imagine for a second that you're inside of Apollo, you came across my profile. In this case, all you need to do is just click on the phone number itself, and you will try to upsell you to sell you this option of doing international dialing. So in that case, you can get the add-on, and within just a couple of seconds, you should have the ability to cold call leads directly from Apollo using the number that you've just connected. And by the way, If you head over to the engage section over here and head over into calls inside of Apollo, and if you click on the call icon in the top right hand corner, you can choose a specific number that you want to call, or you can type in the name of an individual. And by switching on the record call toggle, straight away you could get a call recording in MP3 format, and then more than that, you can also get a transcript of a cold call that's logged automatically inside of Apollo for you under the name of the prospects that you're calling. Just recently, Apollo came out with their power dialer and their parallel dialer features. If you want me to do a separate video on that, please request that tutorial down below so I can spend some time on upgrading this specific demo account of mine so I can showcase to you how the parallel dialers and the power dialers work inside of Apollo. Now, there are just a couple of other features that you absolutely must know inside of Apollo.io, and one of those features will enable you to capture the contact details of anyone that visits your website without them even filling in any sort of form in the process. The way that works is pretty straightforward. All you need to do is navigate on the left-hand side of the panel over to Inbound and then select Website Visitors. As soon as you click on that, you can then click on Add Website and copy and paste the domain of your current website. So let's imagine for a second it's unlockclay.com. All you need to do after that is click on Save. After you add your website over here, within just a few seconds, you should be able to see some other custom instructions that will enable you to connect Apollo to your website. And super simply put, by just copying and pasting one string of code directly from Apollo onto your website, you should automatically be able to see any leads that visit your website, and you should be able to see them inside of this tab where it says website visitors inside of your Apollo account. If for whatever reason you want to use Apollo for task creation, on the left side of the panel over here, you can navigate over to tools and automations and you can click on tasks, and here you can just create a task and associate that task with a specific prospect, with a specific account, or with a specific company that you're reaching out to, or with a specific sales opportunity in the pipeline. And if you don't have a CRM or anything of that sort in place and you want to track all of your sales opportunities somewhere, all you need to do is select deals inside of the Win Deals section over here, and you can then begin the setup over here of a sales pipeline. So the way you'll do that is by clicking on All Pipelines, and then you can click on Manage Pipelines. Over here, create a pipeline, and I'll just call this Tim Test as an example. Click on Save, and you can select the different sales pipeline stages. In other words, the different sales opportunities that you have throughout your sales process. So for instance, you can have one for lead email sent, and then you could have another sales opportunity where the sales lead has been qualified, the meeting has been booked, there has been some negotiation and a proposal, contract sent, closed won and closed lost. And that way you can have custom pipelines on the left-hand side that you can select from over here, and then you can click on Create Deal every single time that you have a sales opportunity. And that way you're using Apollo not only as a database, but rather as your real CRM where you're tracking the progress behind all of your sales opportunities. And finally, before we wrap up this video, I'm going to show you the workflows feature inside of Apollo. So all you need to do for that is navigate on the left-hand side to Tools and Automations, click on Workflows, and over here you can click on Create Workflow, and that will enable you to automate pretty much any kind of manual activity that you're doing inside of Apollo.io using a Zapier-like automation. So super simply put, in this case, I recommend that you click on Explore All Templates just to get a bit of inspiration. So in this case, let's imagine that one of the leads that replied to your cold emails did not show up to a meeting. In that case, we can select this no-show meeting template, click on Preview Templates. And over here, we can just quickly click on Create, and this will automatically create this workflow for us. I can't really show to you a bunch of different workflows that you absolutely must have. But again, if you want to see that in a separate video, let me know, and I can do a deep dive into workflows inside of Apollo.io so that you can use those workflows to automate what you're already doing manually. And as soon as you create one of these sample workflows, of course, you can just click on Launch Workflow in the top right-hand corner and launch it live. And just before I sign off, worth noting that if you click on the settings icon in the bottom left-hand corner, and if you go over to integrations, you can see all the integrations that Apollo has to offer with third-party platforms, be it Clay, RB2B, Zapier, or any sort of other tool. So for that, all you need to do is just search the different integrations here. And for instance, if I type in Clay, I should be able to see all the different Clay integrations right in front of my eyes over here. If you want all the leads to be automatically added into Google Sheets, for instance, all it will take is for you to just click on connect, and straight away it will create an integration between Apollo and your Google Sheets account. All right, let's now recap everything that we covered and learned throughout this video. First of all, we talked about email deliverability and how you should be buying domains, email inboxes, and how you should ramp up and warm up those inboxes before doing any sort of cold outreach. We then even covered all the different filtering criteria within the people and company searches that you perform inside of Apollo, before then even talking about how you can enrich all of the contacts with the right email addresses and phone numbers. And that's not to mention that we even talked about how you can personalize icebreakers and qualify the prospects using AI. And yes, we even had a couple of minutes where we talked about how to set up sequences so that you can create automated chains of emails inside of Apollo. And we even touched on a bit about integrations and workflows and where you can access them inside of the platform. As I mentioned a few times throughout the video already, Apollo is great at providing you with a plethora of different features in return for just a $50 or $100 subscription. But the parts that we touched on just very, very briefly so far that usually makes the biggest difference is how to turn these hundreds of leads that we have in a list into a personalized outreach campaign at scale. So if you haven't heard of Clay yet, or maybe you played around with it and it seemed a bit too technical, go watch the video that's about to pop up on your screen right now. And if you want to get the entire full training plan when it comes to becoming dangerously good at cold outreach, it will be the second link in the description down below underneath the video, alongside all of the promised resources that I mentioned throughout already. So go check out the second link in the description down below, go watch that video that's about to pop up right now, and I'll see you in the next video.